Manchester United have a problem. Not because Lisandro Martinez isn't good enough, not because he suddenly forgot how to defend, but because Manchester United can no longer rely on him staying on the pitch. And that's becoming one of the biggest risks in Michael Carrick's rebuild. Every great team needs defenders they can trust, not just to perform, but to be available, week after week, month after month, season after season. Unfortunately for Manchester United, Lisandro Martinez has spent too much of the last few years watching football instead of playing it. When Martinez arrived from Ajax in the summer of 2022, many questioned whether he was tall enough for the Premier League. He answered those doubts immediately. Aggressive, fearless, outstanding on the ball, a natural leader. He quickly became one of Erik ten Hag's most important players. Fans loved his passion, teammates loved his mentality. Opponents hated playing against him. Everything suggested United had finally found their long-term leader in defense. Then the injuries started. At first, it looked like bad luck. A serious foot injury cut short his first season. Supporters expected him to recover, return stronger, and move on. Instead, the setbacks kept coming. Every time Martinez appeared ready to build momentum, another injury arrived, a knee problem, a muscle issue, another spell on the sidelines. Just when Manchester United thought they had their defensive leader back, he was unavailable again. That is where the real problem begins. Before we continue, do you think Lisandro Martinez can still become Manchester United's long-term defensive leader, or has his injury record become too big a concern? Let me know in the comments, because this debate is becoming more important every season. Football is full of talented players, but availability is a talent too. Managers can only build partnerships when players stay fit. Defenders develop chemistry through repetition, communication, positioning, trust. Those things don't happen overnight. They come from playing together consistently. When one player is constantly unavailable, everything changes. Center-back partnerships are broken. The defensive line changes, the goalkeeper has to adapt, the midfield adjusts, the entire structure becomes unstable. Manchester United have experienced exactly that. Every time Martinez returns, there is hope. Fans remember his aggression, his passing, his ability to step into midfield, his leadership. Then, after 5 or 6 matches, another setback, another recovery, another restart. That cycle is becoming impossible to ignore. The frustrating part is that nobody questions his quality. When fully fit, Martinez remains one of the best ball-playing defenders in the Premier League. His passing breaks opposition lines. His anticipation allows him to win duels early. His mentality inspires teammates. He makes defenders around him better. The problem has never been ability. The problem is availability. And in elite football, availability often determines success. Look at the best teams. Their defensive partnerships remain together for long periods. Consistency creates confidence. Confidence creates clean sheets. Clean sheets create trophies. Manchester United have struggled to build that consistency because injuries have constantly disrupted the back line. Michael Carrick now faces a difficult decision. Does he continue building the defense around Martinez, or does he prepare for the reality that injuries may continue to interrupt his seasons? That isn't an easy question, because replacing a player of Martinez's quality isn't simple. Few defenders combine aggression, composure, and progressive passing the way he does. But equally, planning an entire season around someone who repeatedly suffers long absences carries enormous risk. Modern football is unforgiving. Managers cannot wait months for key players to return every season. The squad has to function regardless. That means United must have defenders capable of stepping in immediately. Depth is no longer optional, it's essential. Some supporters argue that Martinez has simply been unlucky, and there is truth in that. Serious injuries can happen to anyone. Football is a demanding sport. One awkward challenge can change an entire season. No player chooses to get injured. No professional wants to spend months in rehabilitation instead of competing. Martinez deserves sympathy for everything he has endured. But football clubs cannot make emotional decisions. They have to make practical ones. The medical staff will continue helping him recover. Carrick will continue believing in his qualities. The supporters will continue backing him. Yet behind the scenes, recruitment teams must also prepare for every possible scenario. That's how successful clubs operate. They hope for the best, but they plan for the worst. This is why Manchester United's recent transfer strategy makes sense. bringing in younger defenders, adding competition, building greater squad depth. Not because the club wants to replace Martinez immediately, but because modern football demands reliability across an entire season. The fixture calendar is more demanding than ever. Premier League, domestic cups, European competition, international football. Players are expected to perform every 3 or 4 days. That schedule punishes bodies, especially players returning from major injuries. Managing Martinez carefully will be just as important as using him. There is another reason this conversation matters. Leadership. Martinez isn't just another defender. He sets standards. He raises intensity. He demands concentration. When he plays, Manchester United often defend with greater aggression and confidence. Those qualities cannot easily be replaced. But leadership also requires presence. The best captains influence games every week. The best defensive leaders build habits over entire seasons. That becomes difficult when injuries keep interrupting progress. This is not a criticism of Lisandro Martinez. It is the reality Manchester United must confront. Nobody doubts his commitment. Nobody doubts his courage. Nobody doubts his quality. The question is whether his body can finally allow him to deliver a full season without interruption. If it can, Manchester United still possess one of the Premier League's finest defenders. If it cannot, Carrick must ensure the club is never left depending on one player whose fitness cannot be guaranteed. The harsh truth is this: championship-winning teams are built around players who perform consistently, not just brilliantly, consistently. Lisandro Martinez has already proven he belongs at the highest level. Now comes the biggest challenge of his Manchester United career: staying on the pitch. Because if he can finally put his injury troubles behind him, Manchester United gain one of their most important players. But if the cycle continues, the club's biggest defensive problem won't be replacing his talent. It will be replacing the games he simply cannot play.